Well, hey, you guys. All right, I hate to be the bearer of old news, but in case you've been living under a rock, almost everything has gotten more expensive recently. Yeah, have you noticed? We've all caught a little bit of a break, specifically, with eggs and toilet paper, over the last year or two, but overall inflation is still sticking around. And one area that this is majorly affecting is the cost of insurance. So everything from car insurance to health insurance to home insurance, the cost of these continue to increase, it seems like, by the day. And it is so frustrating. My sister, she went to go renew their homeowner's insurance. She was like, can you believe this? I mean, it's true. I mean, we're all seeing it. So today I'm going to give you a heads up on what to watch out for and talk through some solutions when it comes to this issue. And stick around because I'll be sharing 2 types of insurance that people tend to skip, but ones that you need. All right, first, I started thinking about this topic when someone called the Ramsey show and they said they couldn't get their car covered by any insurance companies. And I was hosting the Ramsey show with Dr. John Deloney that day. And we both were like, what? Really? Are you sure? We were like totally questioning the guy. And he was like, no, really, really. So then finally we looked it up after we got done with the call. And he was right. Like there's a specific model of a Kia that had a bad track record with safety features or part repairs. And basically, insurance companies refused to get involved because they didn't want to pay for the high risk and everything. And so, it was crazy. So then I knew, that was kind of going on. And then some other insurances were going up. So I was like, we just need to look at this and get the facts. So let's look at some recent stats just to wrap our head around all of this. According to the S&P Global Market Intelligence, insurance companies aim to raise home insurance premiums by more than 11% last year on average. And in addition to that, car insurance premiums are now starting to outpace inflation. So, for example, Farmers Insurance raised its private auto rates to double digits in 43 states last year. And health insurance rates are rising, and an estimated 8.4% of Americans, aka 27.6 million, were going without health coverage in 2022, according to Forbes. So what happens as a result of inadequate coverage when things happen in life? Debt. Debt ends up being the safety net for many people's situations, so whether it's health insurance, car insurance, all of it. And now medical debt is really common, and honestly, it is so sad. It's actually the number one cause of bankruptcy is medical debt. And you think about that, it's so sad. And we can't fix the health care situation in America through this video. But I think we can all say that it does suck that, in order to take care of ourselves, it costs a lot of money, and you have to have adequate insurance to make sure that it's covered, because if that doesn't happen, then you are paying a premium out of pocket, and it leaves a lot of people in financial distress, and it's really, really difficult. And so what I want to do, though, is talk through some practical solutions to this problem in a minute. But first, let's look at the why behind rising insurance rates as a whole. So there's a few reasons for this. Number one, insurance execs claim that they're being forced to raise rates because that it's legitimately required because of the lifestyle norms of people today. The cost it takes to take care of things like your car being replaced or things going on in the healthcare industry. Because things are more expensive, they're having to charge more. Number two, an increase in natural disasters over the last couple of years, along with the increase of population, has affected supply and demand. And number three, the culprit that we can all agree on, inflation. So clearly this is a challenge for so many people, but we're feeling it even in insurance. Now listen, I am not here to invalidate the struggle because it is very real, but I do want to offer some solutions that help, because I want you to be able to control what you can control. And sadly, we can't always control what the insurance companies are going to do, but we can control what we do with our money. Now, one of those things you can control is actually one of our sponsors, which is Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is a faith-based alternative to health insurance, and it makes healthcare more affordable and allows its members to share each other's healthcare costs. And it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So step 1, choose the healthcare provider that you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members take care of your eligible medical bills. And with no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. So to find out more, go to chministries.org/budget. All right, here are 3 things that I want you to do ASAP that are going to pay off big time. Number 1, ditch unnecessary coverage. So insurance is an important part of life, but there is coverages, you guys, you don't need. So things like whole life insurance, you need life insurance, but whole life is so expensive. Accidental death insurance, you don't need that. Mortgage protection insurance, any insurance that is for kids, okay? So a lot of people try to sell like a whole life policy for your child or things like that, Gerber insurance, all of this stuff. You don't need that stuff. So when you take those things off the table, if you have them, that's going to save you some money. Number 2, be diligent in asking questions. So whether it's phone calls to your doctor's office or a quick meeting with your HR rep at work, asking questions specifically around the health insurance stuff can be really finicky, but really important because sometimes these insurance companies just bank on you not asking questions. They send you the bill and you just keep on moving. But we've heard so many stories of people that keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and they get their bill lowered because whether they found something in the fine print or there's errors or there's things going on. Again, ask questions, dig in, and that could save you some money. And number 3, price out what's best for your family. Time is money, people. And there are pros and cons to different coverage packages with different insurance companies. So don't forget that you hold the power when you decide your options and you get to say, hey, which option do I want? So if you and your spouse maybe have different benefits packages between both of your jobs, sit down and say, hey, is it better for you to take the family and the kids on yours and I'll go as an individual? Or is it better for us to come together just to see, hey, what's going to save us? You know, even if it's $200 a month, that's $2,400 in a year. So it's worth the trouble to do the math and figure that out. And spoiler alert, if you got extra money, that's margin that you have to use for your life or pay off debt or save, and that's great. Now, before I share the 2 types of insurances that most people skip most often, let's circle back to our chat about debt a little bit earlier. Because if you're someone that feels the weight of the past when it comes to specifically medical debt or an emergency expense that you weren't prepared for, here's what I recommend doing. Number 1, get an emergency fund ASAP. So this is a $1,000 emergency fund. And then number 2, I want you to start paying off your debt. Now, again, if medical debt is one of those in there, do what we talked about earlier and ask some questions. See, hey, are there places here that the bills can be lowered at any portion? And even if they go into collections, which some of them do, sometimes you can negotiate with the collection company. Get everything in writing if you can do that. But again, this is something that it's so burdensome on people because it carries such a sad story usually with it. But here's the thing, if it's a mountain, you can take it a little bit at a time. And, just as I see people with student loan debt in the 6 figures, but they pay it off, it takes a while, but they focus on it, they put extra money towards it, and they actually start to see it lower and lower and lower. That can happen with any type of debt, you guys. So again, having a plan puts you in control, which again, I think is so key, and it's just one step at a time. All right, you guys, the 2 insurances that you wanna make sure that are in place. Number 1, if you are a renter, please get renter's insurance. It is very inexpensive. I mean, I've seen them as low as like $12, $20 a month. Okay, they're very inexpensive, but get it because if something happens, there's a fire, a natural disaster, whatever, and everything is gone, that's all your personal belongings, like making sure that all that's covered. And it's really inexpensive. It may not happen, but again, it's something to protect yourself. And then number 2, identity theft insurance. So this is a big one too in our world that is so digital, that our data is out there. There is so much going on, especially even that we pay online so much with stuff. Like everything is out there, making sure that your identity is protected. And Xander Insurance is a great place to do this. And just to have somebody on your team that if it happens or when it happens, because I feel like identity theft is so common now, they take care of that for you, which is great. Now, you want to make sure that you're protected with all the insurances that you need. So I recommend using Ramsey's Insurance Checkup. I will leave a link below to make sure that you check that out and that you're covered in all the areas of life that you need to be covered. And for more clarity on what you should and shouldn't be wasting your money on, make sure to check out my episode with Minimal Mom on things that we will not spend money on in 2024. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.